let's move on and let's go and see how the internet did react to the game. Starting off with Spurs Global, and they say Tottenham are set to have a week-long break for the first time since the November international break. Excluding international breaks, the last time Tottenham had a week-long rest between matches was the 24th until the 1st of September, 24th of August.
Wow, that's mental.
Mad, yeah.
That's mental. And considering as well, in that time, we've just had, since November, we've just had all these injury problems, and the schedule's just been so relentless. I mean, I just really believe that's why we're in the situation we're in. But yeah, let's hope we can really make use of these midweeks now. We're out. Look, as much as it painful is that we're out of these cups and it's a massive blow, we've got to take advantage of these midweek now. There's no excuse.
Yeah. Paddy Power says, just another normal day for the Spurs admin. It's underway at in the Emirates FA Cup. And then 2 minutes later, Ramsey scores for Villa.
He's very close to posting purple and gold there, I think, the admin. He's very close. He's got to be careful. But yeah, classic. Another day for Tottenham Hotspur, that's for sure.
Next up, Ben Bowman says the players are largely out on their feet, but to say that they're giving their all it just isn't true. Certainly doesn't feel like that. And then Travis Levison, in reply to that, says, I'm stuck in the middle with this. They are definitely shattered and overplayed, but I do wonder whether Ange constantly saying these things are giving players a minor reason and excuse to be sloppy, not put in the extra mile, etc. Maybe not actively, but at least subconsciously. And I think there might be something to that.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely giving them the excuses. That's true. I mean, when I watched them, I think players are... I mean, I know Bentancur didn't for that goal, but I think by and large, I see players running a lot, and I see players trying to get in position, and a lot of the time they are chasing their own mistakes and stuff. But I just don't look at players and see they're not trying a lot of the time. I do think they are. I just think when you're playing against, especially when you're playing against teams like Liverpool and Villa, who physically, when they're in obviously better condition than you are, and they're got more rest than you, and they're just sharper, it can make it look like the players just aren't trying, but at the end of the day, they're just playing players who are stronger and fitter and sharper right now, and in better ways. So I think it's hard to make that assessment. But if you think they're not playing for the manager, there's a lot of evidence to suggest maybe they're not with performances. But I also think it's hard to make that assessment with the condition they're in.
Yeah, I mean, I do see. I mean, I just go back to Bentancur's last two performances, and it's weird because the performances before that, he looked really good, and he was putting in challenges and it looked like he was well up for the games.
They were playing.
Yeah, it's true. That's also true. But the last two games, I've seen Bentancur, bottle challenges, bottle 50-50s, and just not busting a gut for the team. That's what I'm seeing.
Definitely for the second goal, that's true. I thought there was some 50-50s he went full-blooded in and won, but unfortunately, wasn't enough. I think it's just different kettle of fish when you're playing. I don't know who played for Elfsborg and Brentford, who are also good teams. But I mean, Brentford is a good team. But when you're playing against Szoboszlai, McAllister, Gravenberch, three of the most physical midfielders there, McGinn, Rodgers, and I think it was Tielemans. Again, three brilliant midfielders. It's just a different kettle of fish.
Yeah.
Just completely different.
Tottenham Marsky says, injuries aren't an excuse anymore. We should be doing better with this team. Everyone is at fault. The manager, the players, and most of all, the ownership. We're at an absolute dumpster fire. You couldn't write a bigger joke than Tottenham. And yeah, that's pretty much what I said on the post-match reaction yesterday.
Maybe you watched it. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to disagree with the form that we're in. To be honest, we are all over the place, jumping from defeat to defeat, and we're just in such a bad way. Sometimes when you're in this rut, it's just so hard to get out of it, especially when the injuries. There's just no let up, and you're asking these players to just continually churn out game after game, and they just, I think they need this week, and they just need this reset. They need these few days off just to reset. I think it's as much of mental issue as it is a physical one as well. I think they're tired mentally. They're tired of this constant criticism and these just getting these defeats, and it's hard. It's a really hard situation. I feel for the manager and the players in this current situation, but as fans of the club and the expectations that we have, especially going into the season, it's also hard to take for us when we're seeing the position we are in, and we know that we shouldn't be in this position.
But as well, like, yeah, I agree with that. But as well, like, when players come back, and they're all not all going to come back at the same time, right? They're probably going to be kind of filtered through, and some players are going to need more time than others to get back in the team, and blah blah blah. Like, this situation is still going to be here as players are filtering back. So I don't think once players come back and as the players are filtering through, it gets better straight away.
No, I don't think it will get better straight away. Probably not. They're gonna need a few games probably, and they're gonna need these weeks, these 3 weeks that we have. That we're going to need them,
because the negative atmosphere and the confidence is still going to be low once these players are coming back. You know, so it's still going to be very hard. And you're telling me once the players get back, players like Kulusevski are going to start to get respite. I mean, I hope so, but Sonny, he's completely out on his feet. Pedro Porro, you know, all these players, but they're still going to play.
Well, you know, with the doggy back and Spence moved to right back, maybe he can,
I hope so. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, look, then it's on Ange to actually use the options available to him. I understand he's been hamstrung with options, I think, you know, in the last few months. But when he's got these options, if he doesn't start using them, then he'll be judged on that 100%.
Anas Ahmed says, I don't think Ange gets sacked, not yet anyway. They were patient with him during an unprecedented injury crisis, so I think they'll allow him some more time to see how it does when we get some injuries or the injured players back, or some of the injured players back. A week to prepare for United, then focus on the Europa League in March. If things don't improve when players return from injury, then I think he'll be gone. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what I was saying on the stream.
And I don't disagree with that. I think that's probably how things will play out. And again, I said, if we do go out, let's say the round of, if we're out of Europa League come March and we only have the Premier League, I think they might make the decision to let him go. But I think as long as we're in that Europa League and we have a chance in it, I think they're just going to give it to him, and they're going to see if he can improve our form with the injured players returning. That's what I think that they'll do.
So we're saying pretty much he has about 3, 4, 5 games to save his job.
Essentially, if he goes out of Europa League, I think so. Yeah.
Cassandra says, I feel for Ange. Any team without injury list. Oh, yeah. COYS Jordan says, anyone who wants to stick with this is an enemy of our football club. This has been us since the Chelsea home game last season. It's time to stop lying to yourselves. And I think for the most part, it has been. I agree.
Look, I think...
Not this bad, but it's been bad.
I think the overall picture is, yes. Again, there's been different clumps of games. As I've said, there was a 16-game period last season after the Chelsea game where we were actually getting pretty consistent results, and I think people always overlook that period. But then obviously we ended the season horrendously, and then this season has just been, you know, we started inconsistently. Again, we had a good period, and then since the injury crisis hit, we've been just absolutely atrocious. And then the overall picture is that the form is absolutely bad, for sure.
We had a good period, but I mean, a lot of that was masked playing kind of substandard Europa League teams.
Look, at the end of the day, we won 9 out of 11 games.
Yeah, but how many of those were against like Ferencvaros and these kind of teams?
We also beat Villa, we beat West Ham, we beat some good teams.
If you want to focus just on the league form, it was always win, lose, win, lose, win, lose.
Yeah, but obviously we were struggling to adjust to that kind of 3 games, Thursday, Sunday schedule. But maybe we would have adjusted it once we got used to it. I don't know how it would have played out, but unfortunately we never really got that opportunity, I think. And obviously at the end of the day, as much as the league form was bad, after that City game we were 6th and 3 points off second. That was the position we were in before the injury crisis, and that's not a bad position.
Yeah, but I mean, if you just want to focus on ourselves and the results that we should have been getting, just look at some of the teams that we dropped points to this season. You know, before the injuries, we've given 2 teams their first wins this season in Ipswich and Crystal Palace. We lost the game when we were 2-0 up at half time. You know, none of these situations are good enough, and that was way before the injury crisis, or just before the injury crisis.
Yeah, there were also bad moments before the. I've never said things were perfect. I'm just saying there were good things as well before the injury crisis, and we weren't in a bad position in all the comps really before the injuries really hit. That's what's really derailed us, in my opinion. I think before the injuries, the position in the league was pretty decent. Obviously, I think we'd won all 3 Europa League games before injuries, and we'd had some really good performances. We had some bad ones as well, but we had some really good ones, and now those good performances are now completely vanished, in my opinion, because of the situation. But look, people want to see people will look at the overall picture and say these are the results since the Chelsea game last season, and on that basis, it's not been good enough, and I understand that as well.
Cassandra says, I feel for Ange. Any team without injury list would struggle. It may sound too simple, but that's the plain truth of it. He hasn't had a fair chance. He's not blameless, but it's a shell of our team out there game after game. I don't see what sacking him achieves at this point. Yeah, I mean, I see what she's saying. I do see what she's saying. I don't know what it achieves, but again, I don't know what doing the same thing over and over again achieves either.
Well, I guess the point is, hopefully we get some players back and then we can really improve. But is there any point just having Mason to now the end of the season? Or are we better off hoping Ange turns it around? I guess that's the argument.
Yeah, I don't think either of them is going to happen. So I think we are going to stick with it probably until the end of the season, and I don't think it's going to get much better. I think we'll see a few results that I think it will get a little bit better in terms of maybe a few more wins dotted around here and there, but the bigger picture ultimately I think it won't be good enough.
Yeah, that might be the case, but I think we're better off hoping Ange turns it around than hoping Mason comes in and gives us a some sort of boost. I think because that doesn't really get us anywhere, because at the end of the day we're not going to give Mason the full-time job. So unless he performs unbelievably well, and I don't think he can anyway under these circumstances until players come back. But players are coming back, so we're better off hoping that Ange can kind of get better form once these players come back, and then you can still maybe go somewhere but obviously it still might not work, and at that point you split at the end of the season. But you're better off hoping for that than hoping for Mason to turn it around just for a new manager to come in anyway.
Steve Singh saying, anyways, Levy out, Enoch out, come on you Spurs. Yeah, and this spanner was actually right in front of me in the away end yesterday. It was getting brought out pretty much every 5 minutes.
There you go. I'm not surprised. Probably each shot that Villa had, they're probably waving it again.
Yeah. COYS Jordan again says, Conte to Ange must be the biggest downgrade in football history. You know, probably not wrong.
Not about the biggest in football history.
I mean, it's a pretty big downgrade.
Conte's a world-class manager, no doubt about it.
Exactly. That's why it's a big downgrade.
I'm sure there have been bigger downgrades. What about Fergie to Moyes?
Fergie to Moyes is a very big downgrade as well. But, I mean, in terms of Spurs, can you remember a bigger downgrade than that? As Spurs managers? I mean, you had, Poch to Mourinho, which is not too much of a downgrade in terms of what they are as managers.
Well, wasn't it Conte to Nuno, first of all?
Conte to Nuno.
No, sorry.
No, it was Nuno to Conte.
It was Nuno to Conte.
It was Jose to Nuno.
Jose to Nuno. For Spurs, yeah, I don't know. Maybe.
Carly on your Spurs says, Ange in, Ange out. I'm honestly Ange indifferent. The next manager can come in and achieve Levy's all-important top 4 trophy, but with Enoch at the helm, that's all we'll ever be. And it feels like even with Levy at the helm, like they don't even care about that anymore with all the events and influx of money that they're getting.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm sure Levy won't ever want to turn down opportunity to earn more money, but it seems as though it's not as important as it once was, that's for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Rocco says, we'll bring someone else in. It'll be another rebuild. The new manager will start strong. Eventually we'll start losing. New manager will eventually get sacked. The cycle will start again. It'll be like this until we change an owner who actually cares about the club. And yeah, I mean, I think that's absolutely spot on. Until something fundamentally changes at this club, every manager is going to keep getting thrown under the bus.
And we're perpetually in this cycle. That's the reality. And yeah, it's hard to see that changing, to be honest, until we start operating differently, potentially. But it's not like we can just go pick and choose our owners. It's not like a manager. You can't just sack the board and bring in an owner you like. It's just not how it works, unfortunately.
Yeah. So Ange Postecoglou in his press conference came in, big defence for his team in saying that, it's very hard to manage the situation with so many injuries.
Well, he said, you can criticise me, but I think...
you can't criticise the players. Yeah. And Anas Ahmed says, in response to this, he says, he's not wrong. Look how Liverpool got on today against rock bottom of the Championship after rotating their first choice keeper, centre-backs and attackers. We've been doing it for months and playing every 3 to 4 days with the same players having to cover multiple positions.
Yeah, and I agree with that. Liverpool did it for one. They tried out for one game and they lost to Plymouth. That's how much of a difference it can make, I think. And that's the scenario we're not just doing. That's not just our scenario. I'm sure those players for Liverpool are probably a lot fresher than our players are right now, and they're not having to churn out performances every 3-4 days in various competitions, and that I think it is evidence of how much of an effect it can have on your team when those big players are out. That's what happened. They lost to Plymouth. They lost to a team who are bottom of the Championship. Once they heavily rotated, and we've been doing that for so long, and that's just the reality of the situation, I think.
Yeah, I mean, but they were playing some of the players that played on the pitch yesterday for Liverpool I never even heard of before, like their right back and their central midfielder. I mean, I've never even heard of these guys before. Spurs, like the players that we're playing, are still like apart.
Who's their front? They had Jota, they had Gakpo, Chiesa.
Yeah, Jota, not Gakpo, Jota, Diaz, and Chiesa.
Jota, Diaz, Chiesa. That's a pretty good front three.
Yeah, the front three was good, and they should have been doing better, no doubt about it.
Quanz has played a lot. Did he start?
But Liverpool did more than enough to win the game as well.
They lost the XG battle against them.
They did, but they created more big chances as well throughout the game. So I mean, Liverpool.
They're going to create against Plymouth. They still lost. That's the point. This is a great Liverpool side, a much better side than us, who rested a lot of players, end up losing to Plymouth because they rested players. We've had these players out for that long, for a long time, and we're in an even tougher spot because we're playing them. These players are not in a good physical condition, maybe as good as those Liverpool players are, and that they just had like a kind of a little taste of what it's like playing without your main players just for one game.
But there's also things that we can do to have these players in a better physical condition than what we're doing right now. Like I keep saying, and I've said it for the last couple of months, the way that he's managing this situation is not, getting the best out of them, and we can do other things that we can to get the best out of these players and get maybe not the best out of these players, but better out of these players.
Yeah, and there might be something we can do, but it's a near impossible situation, I think. Vince
Rugari, again in response to that Ange Postecoglou press conference, says it's true, it sucks and it's boring and it's not as therapeutic as finding a scapegoat. I'm tired of hearing it. He's no doubt tired of saying it, but that doesn't make it any less true. You may want him gone, and that's fair enough. I understand that. It will still be true. It would still be true.
I think a lot, and I do think a lot of it is there was maybe a lot of sympathy at the beginning of this crisis, and I think that sympathy has just dried up just because of the length of time that we've been through it. Yeah, we've been through. I think people are tired of hearing the same thing every single time. But I also agree, it doesn't make it any less true just because we say it a lot. But I think people are tired of hearing it. They've just had enough, and they're like, I don't really care anymore. I just kind of, either deal with it. They're kind of at that stage where I've heard it so many times that I just don't care anymore about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's only so long you can just get battered and bruised, and I think people are just fed up of it, and people just don't want to hear it anymore. They really don't.
I completely agree with that, and I'm sick of saying it, to be honest. And I'm sick of the situation. But I agree with Vince. It doesn't make it any less true.
We're going to finish off this reacts on at least something positive that we saw on the weekend, and that was Leyton Orient against Manchester City, and our two boys in Jamie Donnelly and Josh Keeley having absolute stormers, both of them. And George Sessions says, a lovely moment at full-time on Saturday between Jack Grealish and Josh Keeley. The pair have history too. When Keeley went on trial at Aston Villa at age 16, Grealish had breakfast with the young goalkeeper at Villa training ground. 6 years later, they meet again, and they obviously had an embrace on the pitch after the game, and that's a picture of them. So there's the embrace that they had after the game. Brilliant stuff from Jack Grealish to even remember that situation.
Yeah.
And if you go to the next picture, that's them. Josh Keeley, age 16, at Aston Villa on trial.
Fantastic. Really great. That's lovely. And he was great. I know Keeley maybe could have done better for De Bruyne's goal, but I thought by and large he was brilliant. What he put in some big saves during that game.
That chance that, when they did score, just before that he made a brilliant save, didn't he? Just before.
I think as well he picked up an injury, maybe that kind of affected him. But
did he pick up an injury? Did he?
Yeah, because he went down for a bit, didn't he? But I thought he was absolutely fantastic, Keeley.
Next one is from a West Brom fan. Dan WA says, Will Lancashire, by the way, what a player. And apparently he came on off the bench for West Brom. He was involved in the goal that they scored towards the end of the game. But what I'm hearing is that he had a very, very good cameo for West Brom.
Yeah, obviously I didn't see the game, but I watched the goal they scored and he did really well. He got to the byline, cut it back for a West Brom player into space, who then I think squared it to Armstrong, who scored. So he had a really big part to play in that. I think he pre-assist he got, and reportedly had a really good cameo. It was really funny. So I don't know which tweet it was. Someone tweeted out. One of the Spurs accounts tweeted out,
I know what you're
West Brom fans, how did he get on? And there was a bunch of West Brom fans who replied to it, and they said, oh, he's rubbish, he can't trap a ball, I think we should have him for a couple more seasons. There's a bunch of West Brom fans who were saying, yeah, he's rubbish, don't bother taking him back. It was so funny.
A bit annoying though, like West Brom, after signing Lancashire on loan, they went and bought 2 other strikers. So hopefully that doesn't limit his game time. Yeah, Adam Armstrong. Yeah.
But look, he had a good cameo. So let's hope he continues in that form. So it's really great to see in his first appearance he make an impact.
Yeah, it seems as though like all our loan players are making such a big impact for their teams,
which is great. Which is really, really good.
George Sessions bringing up the Pep Guardiola comments on Jamie Donnelly after the Leyton Orient game. He says, what a goal, fantastic. He shoot, the quality, the technique and the speed, the flight of the ball. When you concede this goal, it is just to congratulate the guy. I think it was Donnelly. He was...
There's respect on his name.
He's an incredible left foot player. And that strike was absolutely sensational from Donnelly. Obviously, it goes down as an own goal, which is unfortunate for him. But it's not something we haven't seen from Donnelly in the past. We've seen him do these kind of finishes at youth level before.
Yeah, and since this goal went in, like a lot of the accounts, there's more than once he's done it at youth level as well. So this guy, we know he's got a wonderful left foot. What's brilliant as well is, the first few months, he was really getting to grips with life and men's football, and he was kind of struggling for form at Leyton Orient and things like that. And not only is he in amazing form now, he's now even doing that kind of stuff against the Premier League champions, in the FA Cup, which just goes to show the talent level that this guy can reach. This guy has a serious ability, an unbelievable left foot, and what an exciting talent. And if he's doing this at that kind of level, if he's able to pull that off in such a big game, I mean, that just goes to show the mentality of him as well, and the confidence he had to try that. And this guy, that's just going to do him the world of good, that doing that on that stage, the confidence that he can do this against anyone. It doesn't matter who it is. You can do that against Man City, you can do that against anyone. And I'm really excited what the rest of the season holds for him.
It's unbelievable what talent you need to do that. It's ridiculous. But Football Talent Scout says, not the result Leyton Orient were hoping for, but Josh Keeley and Jamie Donnelly can hold their heads up high. 2 strong performances against Man City from the young Tottenham loanees, with both undeniable Premier League level potential. And it's like Man City played a really strong team as well. It wasn't like kids out there for Man City. It was like players that have been there, done it, and won Premier League 4 times in a row.
Yeah, exactly. So there was a lot of talent there from Man City. It wasn't just like a completely weakened team. And I thought Donnelly was fantastic, and he was really disciplined in his defensive play as well as getting in position, making tackles as well, getting in his own box. And when his moment came, he absolutely took it. I mean, it wasn't even a chance. He just somehow near the halfway line. What a strike. And yeah, I'm so happy for those boys, and they've been in great form, as we've been saying. It's been really exciting. But it's interesting to see, this kind of game shows them where they really at, what kind of level they're really at. And they both played probably their 2 best players, to be honest.
Yeah. Spurs Express tweeting out, Jamie Donnelly was named Man of the Match against Man City, and there's him in all his glory with his Man of the Match award after the game. Look at this one. This is after he scored. Look at the ball boy's reaction.
Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
And this was the goal. No, this was a goal for him at youth level, so you can see he's done it before. Look at this.
Literally same position.
Yeah.
Bam. Oh, this guy has serious...
That was actually at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
Yeah. this guy's got an unbelievable left foot.
Yeah.
I just wonder what the future holds for him at Spurs. If he carries on in this vein of form, how can we not include him next season?
He has to be included, surely. I think he skips the championship level, comes straight into the first team squad.
It'd be hard to ignore him when he's playing like this.
Yeah. Jamie Donnelly, quotes from him after the game. He says, "However I get there, however long it takes me, I'll keep going. I want to play for Tottenham." And that is exactly what you want to hear.
Yeah, he's a Tottenham boy as well, and that always means more when you got one of those with the talent that he has.
Yeah. The FA Cup tweeted out, "Jamie Donnelly, that's incredible. The Spurs loanee with an incredible effort from distance that ends up in the net to give Leyton Orient the opening goal against Manchester City." And yeah, I mean, just look at that. Against the Premier League 4-time champions, Jamie Donnelly just knocks it in from near to the halfway line.
It's insane. And this next one as well, the which is great as well. This is the academy players reacting to his goal.
Yeah.
And that is also really special because it just goes to show them that's what they're gearing towards. That's what's possible if they get to that level that Donnelly's at, who was only a year ago where they are, which is probably very, very powerful of them to see, I think.
Yeah, and they just got to be looking at pretty much the majority of their teammates, right? They look at Will Lancashire. He's had some minutes in the first team this year, scored a goal for the first team against Galatasaray in the Europa League. You've got Jamie Donnelly doing his thing, Josh Keeley doing his thing. You've got George Abbott doing his thing at Notts County. You've got so many players. Alfie Devine starting in a Belgian Premier League and a Belgium top division for Westerlo. You've got so many players that they all played with, all going out and doing their thing, and to a really high standard and a high level. So it's a lot to aspire to, not just Jamie Donnelly, but everyone else as well.
Of course, yeah.
So that is it. That is how the internet did react to the game yesterday. That is us over and out. So big up to you for coming and joining us on this very, very hard stream.